Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Medeva Sarvakaryechu Sarvada Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमविद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram. If you have already marked your attendance before the recording started, I request you to please mark your attendance once again, because I am discovering that in some cases, before the recording starts, if somebody marks attendance, it doesn't get registered. So to be on the safe side, all of you, please mark your attendance once the recording starts, even if you have done it earlier. Okay, just as an abundant caution. Caution. Okay, that's fine. Yadi satyam bhavet vishwam sushupta upalambha labhyatam sushupta upalabhyatam यन्नोपलभ्यते किंचित अतो सत्स्वप्न स्वप्नवत् मृषा स्वप्नवन मृषाशु. Yeah. 72nd sloka we are seeing. Brahma satyam jagan mitya jivo brahmaiva naparaha. This is the most important proclamation of Vedanta. Brahman is real, the universe is mithya. Mithya, another way we can understand is, it cannot be categorized as either as real or unreal. So Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahma Eva Naparaha. The Jiva is no different from Brahman. Jivatma is no different from Paramatma. And this is the correct view of the Shastra. And this is the topic we are discussing. So this Vedantic statement has got three parts. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, and Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. Shankaracharya is dealing with the first two parts in the first 8 verses, 66 to 73. He started his presentation for establishing the validity of the first two parts of the statement, which is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, from slokas 66 to 71. By relying on the statements of Upanishad and also Bhagavad Gita, that is Shruti Pramanam and Smriti Pramanam. And it is not difficult for us to accept and understand the first part, Brahma Satyam, that the God is real. I don't think anybody has got any doubt in their mind about the reality of the God. Right from childhood, we are taught that, except perhaps for non-believers or Nastikas, nobody has any doubt about this statement. Nobody denies the existence or reality of God, even though nobody has seen God and experienced God. None of us have seen God. Still, we are able to accept the reality of the God. But when it comes to the understanding the reality or unreality of the universe, the Jagat, there is a huge problem. The problem starts first with us. Since we see ourselves as a part of the world, if we accept the unreality of the world, the non-existence of the world, it would mean that we are accepting the unreality of ourselves, the non-existence of ourselves. Nobody can say, I do not exist. Therefore, when we take ourselves as real, we also consider the world as real. This is one very strong reason why we are unable to accept the unreality of the world. And the second reason is that we find the world has got ETU. I hope you all remember what is ETU. Experienceability, transactability, and utility. So our definition of our understanding of reality is that all those things which have got ETU is real. We forget for a moment that we accept God as real, even though God doesn't seem to have ETU. You can't experience God, you can't transact with God, and for most part, we don't know whether God has got any utility or not. So we go and pray thinking he has got utility, he will answer our prayers. But we experience that not in all cases, our prayers are answered. And also, if they are answered, we have no means to know whether it was God who answered. Therefore, on analysis, we find that the crux of the problem lies in our definition of what is real. What do you mean by reality? All this debate about acceptance or reality or non-reality, etc., are all based upon we define reality in a certain manner. The scriptures define reality in a different manner. And that is why when we are having this debate, we need the scriptures to come to our aid. The scriptures define reality as that which exists in all three periods of time, past, present, and future. They say, Trikale api tishtati. That which has no beginning and no end is the reality. That is the truth. So if we now examine the nature of the world on the basis of this definition, we will find the world to be unreal because there is a beginning of the creation and also there is an end to creation. There is a process of Srishti, there is a process of Pralaya. And this is the basis on which the scriptures declared the world to be unreal. In Shloka 72, which we discussed elaborately in the last class, Shankaracharya takes up a supposition argument. What if argument? He says, Yadi Vishwam Bhavet Satyam, or Yadi Vishwam Satyam Bhavet. If this universe or world is taken as real, if the world exists in all three periods of time and in all states of experience, that is during waking state, dream state, and deep state, then we can take it as real. So he says, if the world is taken as real, let it be perceived and experienced in deep sleep. And it is our experience that the world is not at all available in deep sleep state. And in dream state also, a different world is available. That is the dream world, which has no connection with the real world. Sometimes we see such weird dreams. That when we wake up, we wonder, even if we remember the dream, most of the dreams we don't remember. But even if we remember some portions, we wonder, what was that all about? I've never ever experienced this in my waking state. So the dream world doesn't seem to have any connection with the real world. Therefore, logically also he establishes that the world is unreal from the standpoint of Brahman. As I said in the last class, we must always remember, whenever we say the world is unreal, from which standpoint it is unreal. We don't say the world is unreal from the standpoint of a waker. For a waker, the world is as real as the dream world is for a dreamer. Therefore, Brahma Satyam, Brahman alone is real, since it is there in all three periods of time as the Karanam, the cause. That alone is real. Ataha Asat. Ataha, therefore, Asat means unreal. Asat also means non-existent. Here we should take the meaning as unreal and not taken as non-existent. So he says, Asat Swapnavat Brisha. Brisha word we have seen in one of the earlier slokas, Mithya, unreal. Mithya, like what? Swapnavat, like a dream. So this was the message where, or the sloka where Adi Shankara established that how we should view the unreality of the world, both from Shastric point of view and also from the point of view of Brahman. But what is important is, first of all, we have to understand what do we mean by reality. So now Shankaracharya concludes the Jagan Mithyatvam topic in the next verse. We will read. अतः पृथंग नास्ति जगत् परात्मनः पृथक् प्रतीतिस्तु मृषा गुणा हिवत् आरोपितस्यास्ति किमर्थवत्ता अधिष्ठानमाभाति तथा भ्रमेण. So the Anvaya of this sloka is Atah Jagat Paratmanah Pratakna Asti Pratak Pratitihi Tu Guna Ahivat Mrisha Aropitasya Kim Artavatta Asti Adhishtanam Brahmena Tata Abhati. Atah, therefore, Jagat, the word, Paratmanah, from Brahman, Pratak, separate, na asti, is not. Pratak pratitihi, this perception of separateness, tu, whereas, guna ahivat, like the snake superimposed on a rope, mrisha is false. Aropitasya, for the superimposed, kim, what? Arthavatta asti, arthavatta, reality asti is there. Adhishtanam, Brahman, Brahmena, due to Mithyatvam, Tatha, thus Abhati appears. So he says in this sloka, therefore the world is not separate from Brahman. Therefore, all the arguments 66 to 72, He has presented the Mithyatvam of Brahman, Mithyatvam of the world, Satyatvam of Brahman. So he says from all this, we can conclude that the world is not separate from Brahman, whereas the separateness, the perception of separateness of the Jagat from Brahman is false, like the snake superimposed on the road. It is due to Mithyatvam, Brahman appears as Jagat. Ataha, therefore. It's a very big therefore. Shruti pramana, smriti pramana, yukti pramanaihi. Therefore, through all these pramanams, the unreality of the world has been shown. Therefore, Jagat Paratmanah Pritagna Asti. The world is not separate from Paramatma Brahman. The world doesn't have an independent existence or independent reality of its own, but it merely appears to be independently existent, independently real, borrowing the reality and existence from Brahman. Paratmanaha Pritak means separate from Paratma or Brahman. Pritak means separately. Na asti, it does not exist. But Pritak pratitihi too. But it appears to be independently and separately existent. That seeming unreality or seeming reality, independent existence is just an appearance. It is mrisha, it is not true. Like what? He gives an example. We saw the dream example earlier. During dream world appears real and independently existence. Here he gives a different example. Mrisha guna hivat. And this is the most popular example of Vedanta. In order to establish the unreality of the world, that the world is only a mere appearance superimposed on Brahman. This is the first time we are seeing this example. Guna hivat. One of the meanings of gunaha, the gunaha has got several meanings. An attribute is called guna. That's a popular meaning, we say Trigunatmika Maya, attributes. That's a popular meaning also. But here the word guna means a rope, rajju, where that meaning is also there. Guna means a rope. Ahihi. Ahihi means sarpa, a snake. Therefore, guna ahihi means rajju sarpa, rope snake. It's a very famous example, and most of you might have seen this example earlier also. In some other classes, like Tattva Boda and all, I think we have talked about it also. So the question that is raised in Vedanta is a rope snake independently existent or not? What is a rope snake? We have to understand that. And this example is used in Vedanta to demonstrate the mithyatvam of the world. Anyhow, at the cost of repetition, I will briefly explain what is rope snake. Also, it will benefit those who have not come across this example. There was a person who was walking on a dim lit road. Typically, in the rural areas, light is very dim. The roads are not tarred or metal roads, village roads. He was walking. Then he suddenly saw a snake lying across the road. A large snake, 6 feet, 7 feet snake. Immediately he panicked and was getting ready to run away. The snake was dormant. It did not threaten him or anything. It was just lying there. That's all. But he felt that if he walks across the snake, the sound will wake up the snake and it will bite him. So he panicked and he was ready to run away from that place. At that time, a sadhu, a jnani, happened to pass by. And he saw this terrified person getting ready to run away from the snake. He asked him, what happened? Why are you trying to run away? Why there is so much of anxiety in your face, on your face? Why you are afraid? Then this fellow says, see, there is a big snake lying there. You don't go there. Don't go there, Sadhu Maharaj. It will bite you also. So the Jnani said, where is the snake? What are you talking? That is only a harmless rope lying across the road. And to prove this, the Jnani took out his torch and shone it on the so-called snake. The scared person then realized that it was indeed a rope lying on the road. But because of his ignorance, he has mistaken it for a snake and reacted in the way he had. So because of the dim light, in semi-darkness or partial darkness, he knew that there was something lying on the road, which was about 5-6 feet long. And also, it was bent at places to look like a snake lying on the road. It was also sufficiently thick like a snake. And due to his ignorance of the reality of the object on the road, he had superimposed the snake on the road. So until he knew that it was a rope, he was going to perceive a snake on the rope only. Only after he gets the actual knowledge of the rope, he will understand that the snake is an unreal snake, projected snake, false snake. And that false snake is called Gunahihi. But this false snake is understood as a false snake only after looking at the rope closely with the help of an additional light, like a torchlight. Therefore, after using a proper light, I get convinced that it is only a rope and that there is no snake. Snake was merely an appearance, a projection I had made. And the snake does not have an existence separate from the or independent from that rope. And all this jnanam I get, knowledge I get only after realizing the rope as a rope. Adhisthana jnanantaram. The rope is considered as the adhishtanam, the support for this false snake. But until that knowledge takes place, a person who has committed the mistake, who has not yet known during the intermediary gap, even if it is only for a few minutes, the snake will be real for an ignorant person. Not only real, it will be his understanding that the snake is independently existent. He doesn't know at that time that the snake is dependent, appearance of the snake is dependent on the rope. Because he doesn't know the rope itself. He doesn't know there is a rope. Therefore, he never thinks of it as a dependently existent snake. For him, it is independently existent and it is real also. And how this mental state, this understanding is presented or indicated. This person shivers, trembles with fear. Because often people are very scared of snakes, isn't it? Especially if you happen to live in urban areas and suddenly happen to go to a village. You can see left, right, and center snakes everywhere. You will sweat. An unreal snake can create fear, sweat, anxiety, etc. when it is taken as real, even temporarily, isn't it? And some children have, they bring all these toy snakes and toy lizard and all that, and they try, to scare their parents and all that. For a moment, if you don't realize it is a toy, you get scared. And that is the whole what that joy for the children, rather, to scare the parents. So an unreal snake, if you do not know the unreality of the snake, it creates trembling, sweat, and makes the person run away from that also. The person may be sitting in a wheelchair, unable to walk, but if he sees a snake, he will get up and run. For him, it is very real and independently existent. Now, only when a guru comes along, holds a torchlight, and shows the rope, he gains the knowledge of the Adhishtanam. Then only he is relaxed. He understands that the snake is only an appearance, not a reality. And Shankaracharya says similarly, we feel the whole world is also real and independently existent until we gain the knowledge of the Adhishtanam Brahman. Then the Guru comes along, switches on the torch, flashlight. What is the flashlight? Shruti Pramanam, Vedanta Pramanam. With the light of that knowledge, the Shishya analyzes the nature of the world and understands that the Adhishtanam for the world is nothing but Brahman. Then and then alone he understands that even though the world appears to be real, it is not. World appears to be independently existent, but it is not really so. Thus, until one gains knowledge, world is real. Swakale Satyavat Bhati. Because we superimpose the world on Brahman and transfer the reality of the Brahman to the world, which is unreal but appears as real. And that is why Adi Shankara raises a rhetorical question. Aropitasya kim artavatta asti. Here the kim, what, is a rhetorical question. It is not a question, inquiry question, rather what is it? No. Whatever is superimposed, like rope, snake, or dream, whatever is projected or superimposed, arthavatta asti kim. Arthavatta means validity. Validity means independent existence or reality. So he is questioning, is there an independent existence or reality for a superimposed snake, or for a superimposed dream, or for that matter, the superimposed world? We have already seen that the world is superimposed on Brahman with the help of Maya. Dream is Nidra superimposition. World is Maya superimposition. Anything projected or superimposed, arthavatta asti kim, is it valid? This kim in the language is called aksheparte kim. it means it is not valid. It can never be valid. Why? Adhishtanam abhati brahmena. Because only the adhishtanam, the base, the support, or the substratum, the rope alone appears as a snake. Baker alone appears as a dreamer. Brahman alone appears as the world with different names and forms. Therefore, only for an adhisthana jnani, a Brahma jnani, an awakened person, the world is unreal. Therefore, to a layman, if a jnani says the world is unreal, he will protest. Why? Because he's a lay person. He doesn't know what is reality. Why lay person? Even other philosophical system vehemently protest, even ridicule the Advaitin. They mock the Advaitin. They say, this Advaitin say the world is unreal, and after that they go for Bhiksha. And they go looking for students. That's how they ridicule. World is unreal, then why are you eating? There is a story. There was a Vedanta teacher who was giving this talk, the world is unreal. The class was being held in a typical, a forest area, old times. Animals and all moving around and all. The class is being held. So he said, world is unreal and all this, it's a mithya, it's a superimposition. Once you understand that, you will have no fear. You will become fearless, all that thing. At that moment, a tiger came that side. So a student said, oh, Guruji, tiger is coming, tiger is coming. So the Guruji and all students ran away from there. Just now the Guru was saying that, you should not be afraid, world is superimposition and all. So some other non-Advaitin criticizing. So what is this? You are teaching something, doing something else. When you got so much jnanam, if that is true, then you saw the tiger, you should have known that it is unreal tiger. Now why did you run away? The Guru said, I know the tiger is unreal, but the tiger does not know that it is unreal. Takes it as real, takes me also as real, and it will come and eat me. Therefore, one has to be very, very careful to whom what we say. Whatever a jnani is saying is that until one wakes up, for the ajnani, the world is real only. Therefore, never say the world is unreal to him before teaching Vedanta for some time. For a layman, when you teach Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, it is only a working, understandable translation. We should never say Brahman is real and the world is unreal. So then what should be the correct translation for a layman? Working translation. Brahman is real because it is the non-changing entity. Changeless principle is Brahman. What is Satyam? We must not say Satyam Trikale api tishtati. The fellow will not understand. You say Satyam is that which is changeless. In fact, in Taittiriya Bhashyam, Adi Shankara gives that definition only. When he talks of Satyam Jnanam, when he's writing commentary on Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, there Satyam he defines as Yat Yat Rupena Nishchitam Tat Tat Rupam Na Vyabhicharati Iti Chet Satyam. That which remains in the same form all the time is Satyam. That which is changeless. Okay. What is Mithya? Mithya is that which is continuously changing. Dream world is Mithya because it is changing, subject to arrival and departure. This world is also Mithya because it is changing. If you say this, then nobody will protest because nobody can challenge it. Nobody can challenge that this world is the same. Yesterday, what we saw is the same thing I see today, and tomorrow also I see the same thing. Nobody can claim that. We know that our own body is changing every minute. Hundreds of thousands of cells are getting destroyed and new cells are being formed. From one moment to another, our body is never the same. It is constantly changing. So, the changing nature of the world is an experienceable fact. You take a case of a tree. Today it is a plant. It changes to become a tree. Then it changes to become a tree with flowers. Then a tree with fruits. Every moment, everything in this world is constantly changing. Take the case of your nail. You cut it. After a few days, it has grown. Cut your hair. It has grown or gone. Biggest change. Irreversible change. Isn't it? We will all, at our age, we can relate to that. Therefore, for an enlightened person, the translation of Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is Brahman is real, world is unreal. For a lay person, the working translation is Brahman is changeless and the world, both the dream world and the waker's world, is ever changing. And this is the safest translation so that he will understand and accept. Start teaching Vedanta, give the simpler translation initially. Tell a dreamer that the dream world is Mithya after he wakes up. Don't tell him that dream world is Mithya. Of course, you can't tell that. But even if you try to tell him during the dream that what you are seeing is Mithya, he will not accept it. Once he wakes up, you tell him that the dream was Mithya, he will accept it. There will be no protest. Similarly, the world also, once he attains, he becomes a super waker. You don't even need to tell him. He himself will understand the world is unreal. And all along, I was taking this world to be real, because of which I then encountered so many problems. I became a sansari. Raga, dvesha. I developed because I took the world as real. Because of raga, dvesha, I ended up with kama, krodha, lobha, moha, madamatsarya, all impurities I gathered. And I have to work so hard now to get rid of those impurities through karma yoga. Still, they don't seem to leave me that easily. All this realization, understanding will come as you progress in the spiritual path, as you do your Shravanam and Mananam more and more, and as you start assimilating this knowledge based on the Veda Pramana and Yukti Pramana. So if we are in a situation where we say, no, we don't accept, the world is unreal, quite acceptable. Fine, you can believe the world to be real. Keep walking. You will know the reality of the world. So with this, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya topic is also completed. So this is the extension number 2. If you remember, the answer to the 7th question was completed in verse number 60. Thereafter, I said there are 3 extensions made to the answer to the 7th question. We completed the first extension where Atma was talked about. Second extension is this, verse 66 to 73, where Brahman topic is dealt with. And Jagat Mithyatvam is also dealt with. So Atma has been talked about, Brahman has been talked about, Jagat has also been talked about. So 2 extensions are complete. Now we are going to the third and final extension, the climax of this teaching, the crux of the entire Vedanta teaching, the essence of Jnana Yoga. Excuse me. We know that Jnanam means knowledge, but it does not mean any knowledge. The word Jnanam has got a special connotation in the context of spirituality. It is the special knowledge which the Upanishads proclaim, which is the secret for gaining liberation, gaining moksha, for gaining eternal happiness. And we are now going to discuss this secret knowledge. Swami Paramathananda ji says, this is like entering the muhurtam, the most auspicious time of any event, our religious event like marriage or Upanayanam, etc. There is a muhurta, auspicious time. At that time, the most important activity or religious rite is performed. So for a spiritual journey, this is the most auspicious time and event. Main for performance of the main act or the main function, muhurtam. So now we are entering the muhurtam, the climax, which is extension number 3, which is called the great equation between Atma and Brahman. Atma Brahma Aikyam, equating Atma and Brahman. And this topic, the Acharya discusses from verse number 74 to 82 in our selection. So 9 verses are there, one of the longest discussions in our selection. Why? Because this is the crux of Vedanta. If you understand this, Vedanta is over. You are a jnani. Understanding means not only at the intellectual level, assimilating that knowledge and living that knowledge, abiding in that knowledge. You are a jnani. Therefore, it's very, very important portion for the entire Vedanta teaching. So, as we have already seen, what is the central teaching of Vedanta? There is a nice text called Brahma Jnana Valli Mala. Jnanavali. Brahma Jnanavali Mala. A very tongue-twisting word. Composed by Adi Shankaracharya, which is where the Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya appears. He says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahma Iva Naparaha Anena Vedyam Satchastramiti Vedanta Dindimaha. Dindimaha means proclamation. So this shloka condenses the three components of Vedanta teaching. Brahman alone is real. Jagat, the world, is unreal. This is called Brahma Paroksha Jnanam. Then comes the third factor. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, which means Jivatma or Atma, the individual self, is non-different from Brahman, the universal self, the creator of the entire world. So Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha is called a great equation, otherwise called a Mahavakyam. Mahavakyams are presented in all Upanishads. We have hundreds of Mahavakyams. But Acharyas take 4 Mahavakyams as a sample, one from each of the 4 Vedas, to show that all the Vedas are uniform in their central teaching, in their central message. Aitreya Upanishad of Rig Veda, the Mahavakyam is Prajnanam Brahma. Yajurveda, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Mahavakyam is Aham Brahmasmi. Samaveda, Chandogya Upanishad, Mahavakyam, and which is the most popular one. A guru telling the Sishya, Tattvamasi. And in the teaching parampara, whenever the Mahavakyam inquiry takes place, Tattvamasi is taken to explain the Mahavakyam. Tat and Tvam are 2 separate words. So, Tattvamasi people say, because there is a word called Tattvam also in the language. That is not the meaning here. It is Tat Tvam Asi. 3 words are there. Tat and Tvam are 2 separate words, not a single word. So Tattvam Asi. Then Atharvana Veda, Mandukya Upanishad, Mahavakyam is Ayam Atma Brahma. So all Mahavakyams declare Atma Brahma Aikyam. Of those 4 Mahavakyams, Tattvamasi Vakyam is going to be taken up for inquiry here. As I said, that is the most popular Mahavakyam which is taken up for inquiry. So we will enter verse number 74. Tattvam padabhyam abhidhiyamanayoho brahmatmano shoditayor yaditham shrutyatayos tattvamasiti samyag ekattvameva pratipadhyate muhu. So, as I said, the Mahavakyam inquiry starts, and here the Mahavakyam taken is Tattvamasi. And this inquiry is necessitated here because of a particular fact, a particular truth, and that is the equation between Atma and Brahman. The moment we say the word equation means establishing the equality, sameness. Sameness between the individual self and the universal or cosmic self. Micro self and macro self. Here we have been using the words Atma and Brahman. When we study the scriptures, we find that both Atma and Brahman have got 2 versions. And when there are two versions, naturally the question will come, is the equation between both the versions or only with one of the versions? If it is one particular version, then which version? Because, in India, people have got names. I mean, there are certain names which so many people have got. So if you say, can you please call Mr. Krishnan? Or take any North Indian name, Mr. Gupta. Can you please call Mr. Gupta? So you will ask which Gupta? C.K. Gupta. There is one C.K. Gupta. There is one C. Gupta. Or there is one A. Krishnan, one S. Krishnan. So many are there. So which one are you referring to? Similarly, when you talk about the Atma, we have discussed the two versions of Atma. Which versions are you talking about will be the question. Therefore, inquiry is required. First, we should note what are the two versions of Atma and the two versions of Brahman. We will name them and explain them. If we have already discussed all these things, but here in the context, we will recall all that. So there are two versions of Atma. Paramarthika Atma and Vyavaharika Atma. Similarly, Brahman has also got two versions, Paramarthika Brahman and Vyavaharika Brahman. For convenience sake, we can say P Atma and V Atma and P Brahman and V Brahman. Give them initials, so that they are also like Gupta and Krishnas with different initials. Paramarthikam means we all know absolute or transcendental, which is beyond time, space, and action and transaction. That's what we call in English as absolute or transcendental, which means beyond time, beyond space, beyond action, and beyond transaction. Whereas Vyavaharikam means that which is empirical, available within the transactional world, is empirical. That means that which is available within the time and space and is associated with actions and transactions. So that is the empirical Atma. So two Atmas. P Atma is a transcendental Atma beyond time, space, action and transaction. V Atma, Vyavaharika Atma, is within time, space, associated with transactions and with all actions. And the same case with Brahman also. Now, how do we understand this? While talking about Atma, Anatma, Viveka, Acharya talked about Anatma as Shariratrayam and Panchakoshas. And we said, Anatma is just a costume we are wearing. We said behind the costume, there is the Atma, the real self, the real I. And then all the costumes we negated one by one, isn't it? And arrived at the witness consciousness, Sakshi. In verse number 60, Acharya said, Panchanam api koshanam nishede yuktita shrutehe tannishedhavadihi sakshi bodha rupo avasishyate. We said Atma is consciousness, and we talked about 5 features of that consciousness also. And we also mentioned that Atma in its pure form, the surviving pure Atma by itself is not available for any transaction, which was the 5th feature we quoted. That means Atma by itself is beyond time, space, action, and transaction. And therefore, that Atma is Paramarthika Atma, transcendental, absolute. It can do nothing. It cannot, or put it other way, it cannot do anything. And we saw that Atma by itself cannot do anything. It is Akarta. Whereas once the Atma puts on the costume, which is the first costume it wears, the Karana Shariram, which is the foundation, the base costume. Upon that, it wears Sukshma, Stula Sharirams, etc., additional costumes. We are thus fully dressed up, made up, costume. The dressed up Atma, previously the dressless Atma, pure Atma, the Paramarthika Atma was there. Now that same dressless Atma has put on 3 different layers of dresses, 3 bodies or Panchakoshas. So the same I am now available for transactions. Not only that, I also take on time and space. With wearing the costumes, I talk about my location. I am in a particular place, means I am not elsewhere. Not only space and location, even time location. I talk about my date of birth. Of course, I can't talk about my date of death, but others talk about date of death, my date of death. All that referring to the costumed Atma. Thus, there is an empirical Atma available with costume. The dressed up Atma is empirical. The dressless pure Atma is absolute. So the Sharira Trayam or Panchakoshas is the costume. This costume converts the Paramarthika Atma into a Vyavaharika Atma. It is just like Bhagavan taking avatara with Krishna body or Rama body. Paramarthika Atma incarnates as the Vyavaharika Atma. So thus the Paramarthika Atma becomes Vyavaharika Atma. The word becomes, you must quote, it is within quotation. Why within quotation? Because it is becoming a Vyavaharika Atma without undergoing any change, without losing its Paramarthika status. Bhagavan continues to be Bhagavan even when he is appearing as Rama, Krishna, etc. Original Bhagavan is not gone. The Vishnu is not gone. Avatara does not take away, negate the Vishnutvam of Rama, Krishna, etc. So Paramarthika Atma, without losing its Paramarthika status, becomes Vyavaharika Atma and performs all the Vyavahara, all the transactions. Thus, we have to understand Paramarthika and Vyavaharika Atma. Unfortunately, what happens? Vyavaharika Atma alone is popular. A lay person is not aware of, or even if he is aware of, he ignores the Paramarthika Atma. But whether he recognizes it or not, he is the Paramarthika Atma. Like even if the dreamer ignores his waker status, the dreamer is the waker only. So we have ignored our Paramarthika Atma status, but we are the Paramarthika Atma, which status we will recognize on waking up. We'll continue in the next class. Thanks. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all. I hope you have all marked your attendance.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Very much. Hari Om. Hari Om. Any questions? No hands up.
Guruji.
Okay. So no questions, we can close the session then. In that case, continue next week. Okay.
Guruji,
Yes.
one general question. Are you familiar with this aim for seva?
Yeah. Familiar means not closely associated or anything, but I know who is running it and what is the aim and all that. It was started by Puja Swamiji, I think sometime 10-15 years ago. All India Movement for Seva. They are
Okay.
running lot of the schools and all that in many areas. Lot of activity. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. They are into educating children, is it?
Yeah, they are into educating children. What they do is that is mostly in backward areas, tribal areas and all that. So there they have got a residential schooling facility. So they actually enroll students from that area, children from that area, teach them. It requires a lot of money and all that. So this Aim for Seva Foundation, they carry out these activities and all that. But they are always, hard.
So it is for economically weaker.
Sorry? Come again?
So they are for economically weaker section.
Mostly, I mean, there is no such rule that it should necessarily for economically weaker sections only. But normally you will find their schools and all not in urban areas. There are areas where, the reach has not gone, educational reach has not gone. Or for that matter, the families, they don't send their children to schools and all that kind of a thing. And then most importantly for them, food is the important thing, right? Eating.
Food, okay.
So again, schools
also
are a comprehensive one. The children are given food and teaching and even our cultural, this thing, everything is a package thing they are taught.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and many philanthropists, they have donated land, they have donated buildings for, housing these schools and conducting. So they appoint one teacher who is also a caretaker kind of a thing. So that person teaches the students. And it starts right from, I mean, the first initial stages. It goes right up to higher levels, higher secondary and all. And many of those students come out with very flying colors and, then people come forward to fund their education at the college level, university level and all that. It's a very great effort which Puja Swamiji has started. But it is not connected with the Gurukulam Vedantic teaching and all. It's a separate trust and separate
Mhm.
team runs that.
Okay,
There
okay,
is one
okay.
lady called Sheila Balaji.
Uh,
She is, I think, it belongs to the TVS group. One of
okay.
the family members of the TVS group. She is, I think, running this. I knew that she was running. I don't know right now whether she is involved, but she is also a very influential person, and she is running this.
Okay.
first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Good, good. Thank you very much. Good. Namaskaram.
Namaskar. I saw one more hand go up and then it vanished.
Guruji, that was me, but then again, I'm traveling, so connectivity keeps breaking. So I thought I'll.
Your voice is not clear. Sorry, please come again.
Yes, Guruji. I had raised my hand, but because I'm traveling again, I'm on the road. The connectivity keeps breaking, so I thought I'll keep the question for the next week.
Oh, okay, okay. No
Sorry
problem.
about it.
Okay. Hariyo.
Namaste. Hariyo.
Okay, thank you. So we can close the session. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank
Hari Om, Hari
Thank
Om.
you, Guruji.
Thank you.